Hello again. We are ready to read Act 4 of Julius Caesar. Grab your book, turn to Act 4, and let's dive in. We start scene 1 at a house in Rome. And at this point, remember at the end of Act 3, Octavius, Julius Caesar's grandnephew and his heir, had been just outside of Rome, didn't know about the murder until messengers from Antony told him. And he came in, and Antony has stirred the crowd up, and they've driven Brutus and Cassius from Rome completely. They are on the run. And so in scene 1, Antony, Octavius, and another man we have not met yet, Lepidus, are sitting around a table, and they're deciding what needs to be done. They're deciding their plan of action. These three men are known as the second triumvirate. Triumvirate means three men, and they, the three of them got together after Julius Caesar's death, and they were running things in Rome, and they're organizing what the government in Rome needs to look like and what they're going to do about Brutus and Cassius. All right, so we meet them seated together around a table, and Antony says, "These many then shall die. Their names are pricked." They're making a list of people who need to die. Octavius says, "Your brother too must die. Consent you, Lepidus?" "I do consent." "Prick him down, Antony." "Upon condition Publius shall not live, who is your sister's son, Mark Antony." "He shall not live. Look, with a spot I damn him. But Lepidus, go you to Caesar's house, fetch the will hither, and we shall determine how to cut off some charge in legacies." They are bargaining over people's lives. "Oh, we're going to kill your brother, but now we have to kill your nephew because we think they're dangerous. Oh, and somebody go get Caesar's will. Let's see how we can cut off some charge in legacies. We're going to see how we can get out of turning over all of Caesar's money to his heirs and keep some of it for ourselves." Lepidus says, "What, shall I find you here? Or here or at the Capitol?" And Lepidus goes off to get the will. Now they're going to talk about Lepidus behind his back. "This is a slight, unmeritable man, meet to be sent on errands. Is it fit, the threefold world divided, he should stand one of the three to share it? Is he really worth including with us?" Octavius says, "So you thought him, and took his voice who should be pricked to die in our black sentence and prescription. Well, apparently you thought he was good enough to put his 2 cents in about who we should write down on our death list." "Octavius, I have seen more days than you. And though we lay these honors on this man, to ease ourselves of divers slanderous loads, he shall but bear them as the ass bears gold, to groan and sweat under the business, either led or driven, as we point the way. And having brought our treasure where we will, then take we down his load and turn him off, like to the empty ass, to shake his ears and graze in common. He's nothing but a beast of burden. When we've used him as much as we want, we'll just turn him off into the field to graze. You may do your will, but he's a tried and valiant soldier." "So is my horse, Octavius, and for that I do appoint him store of provender. It is a creature that I teach to fight, to wind, to stop, to run directly on, as corporal motion governed by my spirit. And in some taste is Lepidus but so. He must be taught and trained and bid go forth. A barren spirited fellow, one that feeds on abjects, orts, and imitations, which out of use and staled by other men begin his fashion. Do not talk of him, but as a property. He's a nobody. We will use him. And now, Octavius, listen, great things. Brutus and Cassius are levying powers. We must straight make head. Therefore, let our alliance be combined, our best friends made, our means stretched, and let us presently go sit in council, how covert matters may be best disclosed, and open perils surest answered. Brutus and Cassius have armies. We don't know what they're going to do with them, but we need to meet it." Octavius says, "Let us do so, for we are at the stake, and bait about with many enemies. And some that smile have in their hearts, I fear, millions of mischiefs." All right. Scene 2. We move to the camp of Brutus and Cassius. Cassius's camp is nearby. This is Brutus's camp. And we're in front of Brutus's army tent. "Brutus, stand ho! Give the word, ho, and stand. Everybody stop. What now, Lucilius? Is Cassius near? He is at hand, and Pindarus is come to do you salutation from his master. He greets me well. Your master, Pindarus, in his own change, or by ill officers, hath given me some worthy cause to wish things done undone. But if he be at hand, I shall be satisfied. Lucilius has been sent as a messenger from Cassius, and Brutus says that his master, Cassius, has given him worthy cause to wish things done undone. Cassius has offended Brutus in some way. They're not getting along, but Cassius is approaching to get things sorted out. I do not doubt but that my noble master will appear such as he is, full of regard and honor. He is not doubted. A word, Lucilius, how he received you. Let me be resolved. How did he treat you when you showed up at his camp? With courtesy and with respect enough, but not with such familiar instances, nor with such free and friendly conference as he hath used of old. He was friendly enough, but not as friendly as he used to be. Thou hast described a hot friend cooling. Ever note, Lucilius, when love begins to sicken and decay, it useth an enforced ceremony. There are no tricks in plain and simple faith, but hollow men, like horses hot at hand, make gallant show and promise of their mettle. But when they should endure the bloody spur, they fall their crests, and like deceitful jades sink in the trial. Comes his army on? They mean this night in Sardis to be quartered. The greater part, the horse in general, are come with Cassius. And they hear marching, they hear trumpets and marching. Men are approaching. Hark, he has arrived. March gently on to meet him. Cassius, stand ho! Telling all his guys behind him to stop. Stand ho! Speak the tongue. Stand! 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 Cassius says, most noble brother, you have done me wrong. Judge me, you gods. Wrong I mine enemies? And if not so, how should I wrong a brother? Brutus, this sober form of yours hides wrongs, and when you do them, Cassius, be content, speak your grief softly. I do know you well. Before the eyes of both our armies here, which should perceive nothing but love from us, let us not wrangle. Bid them move away. Then in my tent, Cassius, enlarge your griefs, and I will give you audience. Let's not have a fight in front of the troops. It's bad for morale. Pindarus, bid our commanders lead their charges off a little from this ground. Lucilius, do you the like, and let no man come to our tent till we have done our conference. Let Lucius and Titinius guard our door. Right. It says it's another scene, but we're really just moving inside Brutus's tent so they can have a private conference. Cassius starts out, that you have wronged me doth appear in this. You have condemned and noted Lucius Pella for taking bribes here of the Sardians, wherein my letters praying on his side because I knew the man were slighted off. Brutus, I have a soldier, Lucius Pella, and you convicted him. You tried him in court for taking bribes. A capital offense in the army. And I wrote you a letter telling you he's a good guy. Leave him alone. And you ignored my letter. Brutus says you wronged yourself to write in such a case. In such a time as this, it is not meet that every nice offense should bear his comment. Cassius, you were wrong. That guy is guilty, and you do yourself a disservice to stand up for him. And Cassius is like, what the heck? It's wartime, Brutus. Do you think we should pick on every single guy who breaks a little rule? Let him go. Let me tell you, Cassius, you yourself are much condemned to have an itching palm. That means you're greedy. To sell and mart your offices for gold to undeservers. There's a rumor, Cassius, you're taking bribes too. I, an itching palm? You know that you are Brutus that speaks this, or by the gods, this speech, or else you're last. If you weren't Brutus accusing me of such a thing, I'd kill you right now. The name of Cassius honors this corruption, and chastisement doth therefore hide his head. Chastisement? Remember March, the Ides of March, remember. Did not great Julius bleed for justice's sake? What villain touched his body that did stab and not for justice? What shall one of us that struck the foremost man of all this world, but for supporting robbers, shall we now contaminate our fingers with base bribes? and sell the mighty space of our large honors for so much trash as may be grasped thus? I'd rather be a dog and bay the moon than such a Roman. Cassius, we killed the leader of the known world because we thought it was just. We stood for justice. And now you're taking bribes? You're not standing for justice anymore. He says, the name of Cassius honors this corruption, and chastisement doth hide his head. Chastisement? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm gone back. Sorry. Down at the bottom of the page. Brutus, bait not me. I'll not endure it. You forget yourself to hedge me in. I am a soldier. I older in practice, abler than yourself to make conditions. Brutus, I have more experience in these things with you. Do not try me. Go to. You are not, Cassius. I am. I say you are not. Urge me no more. I shall forget myself, have mind upon your health, and tempt me no further. Away, slight man. Is it possible? Brutus says, hear me, for I will speak. Must I give way and room to your rash choler? Shall I be frighted when a madman stares? Oh, ye gods, must I endure all this? All this, aye, more. Fret till your proud heart break. Go show your slaves how choleric you are, and make your bondmen tremble. Must I budge? Must I observe you? Must I stand and crouch under your testy humor? By the gods, you shall digest the venom of your spleen, though it do split you. For from this day forth I'll use you for my mirth, yea, for my laughter when you are waspish. Has it come to this? You say you are a better soldier. Let it appear so. Make your vaunting true, and it shall please me well. For mine own part, I shall be glad to learn of noble men. You wrong me in every way. You wrong me, Brutus. I said an elder soldier, not a better. Did I say better? If you did, I care not. When Caesar lived, he durst not thus have moved me. Peace, peace, you durst not so have tempted him. I durst not? No. What, durst not tempt him? For your life, you durst not. Do not presume too much upon my love. I may do that I shall be sorry for. You have done that you should be sorry for. There is no terror, Cassius, in your threats, for I am armed so strong in honesty that they pass me by as the idle wind which I respect not. I did send to you for certain sums of gold, which you denied me, for I can raise no money by vile means. By heaven, I'd rather coin my heart and drop my blood for drachmas than to wring from the hard hands of peasants their vile trash by any indirection. I did send to you for gold to pay my legions, which you denied me. Was that done like Cassius? Should I have answered Caius Cassius so? When Marcus Brutus grows so covetous to lock such rascal counters from his friends, be ready, gods, with all your thunderbolts, dash him to pieces. Not only do I think you're taking bribes, Cassius, but I sent to you for money. I needed to pay my troops, and you wouldn't send me any. Cassius says, I denied you not. You did. I did not. He was but a fool that brought my answer back. Brutus hath rived my heart. A friend should bear his friend's infirmities, but Brutus makes mine greater than they are. I do not till you practice them on me. You love me not. I do not like your faults. A friendly eye could never see such faults. A flatterer's would not, though they do appear as huge as high Olympus. Cassius has given up. Come, Antony. Come, and young Octavius, come. Revenge yourselves alone on Cassius. For Cassius is aweary of the world, hated by one he loves, braved by his brother, checked like a bondman, all his faults observed, set in a notebook, learned and conned by rote, to cast into my teeth. Oh, I could weep my spirit from mine eyes. There is my dagger, and here my naked breast. Within, a heart dearer than Plutus is mine, richer than gold. If that thou beest a Roman, take it forth. I that denied thee gold will give my heart. Strike, as thou didst at Caesar, for I know when thou didst hate him worst, thou lovedst him better than ever thou lovedst Cassius. Just kill me, Brutus. If this is what you think of me, just kill me. I think you loved Caesar more when you were killing him than you ever loved me. Sheathe your dagger. Be angry when you will, it shall have scope. Do what you will, dishonor shall be humor. Oh, Cassius, you are yoked with a lamb that carries anger as the flint bears fire, who, much enforced, shows a hasty spark, and straight is cold again. Brutus is starting to feel bad. All right, maybe I was too hard on you, Cassius. You know, I'm like a flint that strikes a spark. I flare out in anger, and then it's gone. I'm a lamb at heart. I'm I'm not as mean as I seem right now. Hath Cassius lived to be but mirth and laughter to his Brutus, when grief and blood ill-tempered vexeth him? When I spoke that, I was ill-tempered too. Do you confess so much? Give me your hand. And my heart too. Oh, Brutus. What's the matter? Have you not love enough to bear with me when that rash humor which my mother gave me makes me forget? Cassius is making admissions too. You know, I do have a hasty temper. And I'm sorry. If you're my friend, you'll bear with it. Yes, Cassius, and from henceforth, when you are over earnest with your Brutus, he'll think your mother chides and leave you so. All right, now outside, there is some commotion, and someone is shouting out, it's a poet, "Let me go in to see the generals. There is some grudge between them. 'Tis not meet they be alone." The guard Lucilius says, "You shall not come to them. Nothing but death shall stay me." And this poet bursts into the commander's tent, followed by Lucilius and the other guards. Cassius says, "How now? What's the matter?" The poet says, "For shame, you generals. What do you mean? Love and be friends as two such men should be. For I have seen more years, I'm sure, than ye." Ha! How vilely doth this cynic rhyme. Get you hence, Sirrah, saucy fellow, hence. Bear with him, Brutus, 'tis his fashion. I'll know his humor when he knows his time. What should the wars do with these jigging fools? Companion, hence. Away, be gone. They throw this guy who's burst in trying to patch up the argument that's already been patched up. Brutus says, "Lucilius and Titinius, bid the commanders prepare to lodge their companies tonight. And come yourselves and bring Messala with you immediately to us." All right, all the servants leave, all the guards leave. Brutus says, "Lucius, a bowl of wine." Cassius says, "I did not think you could have been so angry." "Oh, Cassius, I am sick of many griefs." "Of your philosophy you make no use if you give place to accidental evils." Brutus is a Stoic philosopher. The Stoics believed that if you master your own emotions, if you master your passions, nothing can really harm you. That when something bad happens in your life, it's your reaction that makes you suffer, not that thing that happens. If you bear it calmly and rationally and reasonably and say, these things happen, they happen to everyone, it just so happens they've happened to me now, then you can master your emotions and you can master your circumstances. And Cassius is saying, you're not being a good Stoic right now, Brutus. If you let something trifling, something bad that's happened in your life, push you over the edge and you lose your temper. Brutus says, "No man bears sorrow better." Oh, I am good at it. Portia is dead. He just heard his wife is dead. Ha! Portia? She is dead. "How scaped I killing when I crossed you so?" I can't believe you didn't out and out kill me when I was being so rude to you, when you're upset because you just lost your wife. "Upon what, oh, insupportable and touching loss, upon what sickness?" "Impatient of my absence, and grief that young Octavius with Mark Antony have made themselves so strong. For with her death that tidings came, with this she fell distract, and her attendants absent swallowed fire." She killed herself. And died so? Even so. Oh, ye mortal gods! That moment Lucius comes in with their bowl of wine and a candle. "Speak no more of her. Give me a bowl of wine. In this bowl of wine, I bury all unkindness, Cassius. My heart is thirsty for that noble pledge, Fill, Lucius, till the wine o'erswell the cup. I cannot drink too much of Brutus's love. All right. Come in, Titinius. Titinius comes back in. Welcome, good Messala. Now sit we close about this taper here and call in question our necessities. Okay, they've invited Messala and Titinius in because they're now going to have a military conference. They've gotten over their spat, and now they need to decide how they want to maneuver and what they're going to do. Cassius, though, won't let it go. Portia, art thou gone? No more, I pray you. Messala, I have received letters that young Octavius and Mark Antony come down upon us with a mighty power, bending their expedition toward Philippi. Myself have letters of the selfsame tenor. Antony and Octavius are on their way with an army. With what addition? That by proscription and bills of outlawry, Octavius, Antony, and Lepidus have put to death 100 senators. Therein our letters do not well agree. Mine speak of 70 senators that died by their prescriptions, Cicero being one. Cassius says, Cicero won? Cicero is dead, and by that order of prescription. Had you your letters from your wife, my lord? No, Messala. Nor nothing in your letters writ of her? Nothing, Messala. That methinks is strange. Why ask you? Hear you aught of her in yours? No, my lord. He's afraid to tell him. He thinks Brutus doesn't know that Portia's dead, and he's afraid to tell him. Now, as you are a Roman, tell me true. Then like a Roman bear the truth I tell. For certain she is dead, and by strange manner. Brutus answered, Why, farewell, Portia. We must die, Messala. With meditating that she must die once, I have the patience to endure it now. Even so, great men great losses should endure. Cassius says, I have as much of this in art as you, but yet my nature could not bear it so. Well, to our work alive. What do you think of marching to Philippi presently? Cassius says, I do not think it good. Your reason? This it is. 'Tis better that the enemy seek us. So shall he waste his means, weary his soldiers, doing himself offense, while we lying still are full of rest, defense, and nimbleness. Brutus thinks they should march to meet the enemy at Philippi. He says, not a good idea. Why? Well, because while they're marching towards us, wearing out their soldiers with the march, running out of provisions, we can reinforce our defenses. Our men are resting, and when it comes to battle, they'll be well rested and ready to fight. Brutus answers, good reasons must of force give place to better. Again, remember how Brutus is always right, no matter what anyone else says. Should we invite Cicero? Yes. He says, no. Should we swear an oath? Yes. No. Should we stay here and wait for them to come? No. Here are his reasons. Good reasons must of force give place to better. The people twixt Philippi and this ground do stand but in a forced affection, for they have grudged us contribution. The enemy, marching up along by them shall make a fuller number up. Come on refreshed, new added, and encouraged, from which advantage shall we cut him off if at Philippi we do face him there, these people at our back. The people between us and Antony and Octavius' army, they are friendly to them and hostile to us. And if we let them march to us, they will march towards territory friendly to them. And the people living in that territory will join them. And by the time they get there, their ranks are going to be swelled. They're going to have many more men. If we march to them, we cut them off from that possibility. Cassius doesn't quite agree. Hear me, good brother. Upon your pardon, you must note beside that we have tried the utmost of our friends. Our legions are brimful, our cause is ripe, the enemy increaseth every day. We at the height are ready to decline. There is a tide in the affairs of men, which taken at the flood leads on to fortune. Omitted, all the voyage of their life is bound in shallows and in miseries. On such a full sea are we now afloat, and we must take the current when it serves or lose our ventures. Life is like the tides of the ocean, and when you're at the height, when you're at the top of the wave, you need to run with it. Then with your will go on, will along ourselves and meet them at Philippi. Cassius defers to Brutus again. Brutus says, the deep of night is crept upon our talk, and nature must obey necessity, which we will niggard with a little rest. There is no more to say? No more. Good night. Early tomorrow we will rise and hence. Lucius! My gown. Farewell, good Messala. Good night, Titinius. Noble, noble Cassius, good night and good repose. Oh, my dear brother, this was an ill beginning of the night. Never comes such division between our souls. Let it not, Brutus. Everything is well. Good night, my lord. Good night, good brother. Good night, Lord Brutus. And he says, farewell, everyone. And everyone leaves except for Brutus and Lucius, who's behind getting his night clothes. He comes back in with those. Give me the gown. Where is thy instrument? Lucius is here in the tent. What? Thou speakst drowsily. Poor knave, I blame thee not. Thou art o'erwatched. Call Claudius and some other of my men. I'll have them sleep on cushions in my tent. Pharaoh and Claudius! And two men come in, and Brutus is going to have them keep watch over him in his tent. They're going to sleep there, but they're going to be extra eyes and ears to see if anything happens. Calls my lord? I pray you, sirs, lie in my tent and sleep. It may be I shall raise you by and by on business to my brother Cassius. So please you, we will stand and watch your pleasure. We won't sleep, we'll just stand guard. I will not have it so. Lie down, good sirs. It may be I shall otherwise bethink me. Look, Lucius, here's the book I sought for so. I put it in the pocket of my gown. He puts on his nightgown, his night clothes, and a book he'd been searching for earlier in the day. He finds it in the pocket. Brutus is distracted. Brutus is not himself. Remember the guys in the earlier scene that couldn't decide which way was east? And they were going to take charge of Rome. Brutus is making decisions for the future of their conspiracy and their armies, and he can't find his own possessions. Lucius says, I was sure your lordship did not give it me. Bear with me, good boy, I am much forgetful. Canst thou hold up thy heavy eyes a while and touch thy instrument a strain or two? Will you play music for me? Ay, my lord, and it please you. It does, my boy. I trouble thee too much, but thou art willing. It is my duty, sir. I should not urge thy duty past thy might. I know young bloods look for a time of rest. I have slept, my lord, already. It was well done, and thou shalt sleep again. I will not hold thee long. If I do live, I will be good to thee. So he starts playing music, and Brutus says, this is a sleepy tune. And it actually starts making Lucius doze off while he's playing. O murderous slumber, layest thou thy leaden mace upon my boy that plays thee music? Gentle knave, good night. I will not do thee so much wrong to wake thee. If thou dost nod, thou breakst thy instrument, I'll take it from thee. And good boy, good night. Let me see. He's looking through his book. Is not the leaf turned out where I left reading? Here it is, I think. He sits down to read. But in comes the ghost of Caesar. And it makes the candle flicker. And Brutus says, how ill this taper burns. Who comes here? I think it is the weakness of mine eyes that shapes this monstrous apparition. It comes upon me. Art thou anything? Art thou some god, some angel, or some devil? Thou makest my blood cold and my hair to stare. Speak to me what thou art. Thy evil spirit, Brutus. Why comest thou? To tell thee thou shalt see me at Philippi. Well, then I shall see thee again? Aye, at Philippi. Why, I will see thee at Philippi then. And the ghost disappears. Now I have taken heart, thou vanishest. Ill spirit, I would hold more talk with thee. Boy, Lucius, Varro, Claudius, sirs, awake! Claudius! Trying to wake up the guys who were sleeping there in his tent. Lucius says, the strings, my lord, are false. He's looking to play his harp, but Brutus has taken it from him. He's still half asleep. He thinks he is still at his instrument. Lucius, awake! My lord? Didst thou dream, Lucius, that thou criedst out? My lord, I did not know that I did cry. Yes, that thou didst. Didst thou see anything? Nothing, my lord. Sleep again, Lucius. Sirrah, Claudius! Fellow, thou, awake! My lord? My lord? Why did you so cry out, sirs, in your sleep? They didn't. He's just trying to find out if anyone else saw what he saw. Did we, my lord? Aye. Saw you anything? No, my lord, I saw nothing. Nor I, my lord. Go and commend me to my brother Cassius. Bid him set on his powers betimes before, and we will follow. It shall be done, my lord. And they get ready. The next morning, they are going to move off to Philippi, to the plains outside of Philippi. And we will pick them up there in Act 5.